Good afternoon. At least it's afternoon here where we are at this time. Hello, everybody. This is Oakwalker, and I'm here with my good friend Stronghorse, and we're doing another podcast of Earth Medicine for the Soul. We've been talking through some things lately, and I just wanted to throw it over to Frank for a second to give us a kind of a sense of where we're at. Want to do that?
Yeah, sure. I think, well, you and I, uh, we seem to get downloads, thank goodness,
Mhm.
before we start talking about this stuff. And it was brought to our attention to start talking about alignment, which is a pretty broad subject, but a hugely important subject because I think that right now, particularly in this time of transition, which is, I think, everybody that's been clued into anything spiritual is probably fairly aware that Mother Earth is going through a big shift right now.
Yeah.
And so this alignment as a subject is vitally important for people to kind of get in their head as to what they need to be doing to participate in this transition,
Hmm.
and uh, and I think both you and I both feel that it's our experiences with our different indigenous shamanic paths that is going to allow us to share some information with the people that they could find us very interesting. Does that work?
Hmm. Yeah, that works. Um, So alignment. The first question that springs to my mind when I'm thinking of, trying to put myself into the mindset of a viewer here, and they're like alignment. What am I aligning to? Alignment. What do you mean align to? You have to align to something. When I align my wheels on my car, they're being aligned to one another. Or, there's then the toe in, there's an alignment going on. So that keeps us in harmony, right? So, rolling forward in peace and uh, no blah 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 vibrations and stuff. Anyway, okay, so that's a bad analogy. Um, when For me, the alignment thing is about keeping myself aligned or in vibrational harmony with the powers that be, or the creative process coming down. And I remember in the Peruvian tradition, they talk a lot about the Saiwa. And the Saiwa is like a channel of light. It comes down into your uh, crown,
Crouch. Yeah.
yeah, into the top of your head. And the Saiwa, it's basically generated from the stars, or it originates in the stars, the highest of high vibrations, and it comes down into you through through your crowns, and then it goes all the way down. And what I've always done is just let it keep going down all the way down to the center of the earth. So it just basically comes all the way through me, and then anchors me at the very center of the planet, which is being as how I'm a person on this planet. I'm a being on the planet. I'm of the planet. The, that is as central as it gets for me when you get to the center of the planet. So now I have this light vibrational attachment from the center of the earth all the way up to um, the star brethren, the star um, beings up there. And down in Peru, they uh, they don't really distinguish very much between what kind of being you are. Um, they are very in touch with that kind of celestial process. It's real interesting in Peru because you go down there and their constellations, the Milky Way is so bright in the Andes that their constellations are backwards. Their constellations are where there's a void in the stars that might be shaped like a llama or something. Those are their constellations, and those are the portals. They're symbolic portals that they use to bring their mythology and their medicine down into their own traditions. The Peruvian traditions are very, very aligned with alignment, if you will, because they really see everything coming down into the earth through the mountains. And then the mountains, not only are they pinnacles that are like antennae that are sticking up and receiving all of this uh, star energy, but they also are the glacial waters that are so nutritious that feed the valleys, and all of the nutrition of their harvest basically originates in the mountains and in the glaciers, and all of it runs down into their fields and valleys where they go. We had one really, really nice ceremony with the guy. There's a guy down there by the name of Tito La Rosa, and we got along real well. Tito and I did, because he was trying to quit smoking and I hadn't yet. So I had all the tobacco, and he would come with me after every after every visit. We'd go to some site somewhere, and then he'd hook right up with me, and we'd go have a cigarette. And he's a famous Grammy winning, actually. He's a Grammy winning panpipe player and plays the indigenous
Yeah.
Peruvian instruments. Um, Very nice man, sweet soul. And the ceremony we did with him at his site was really, really nice, because that was a sound. He loves the sound traditions, you know. And so we did, and he loves the alignment with the feminine energies too. So he's a guy that I would go to if I were wanting to encourage more matriarchal styles and ideals. I'd go to Tito for sure. And the ceremony that we did, we put all of the women in a circle in the middle, and then the men we went out and gathered to all the markets we could find. We gathered flowers in all the four major colors: white, red, purple, and yellow. And we broke them down into petals, and then we just showered the women with this plethora of blossoms. And that was one ceremony that made everyone feel like they were just attached to the deepest beauty of the world. And
Wow.
yeah, it was really a sweet ceremony. And everybody came out kind of floaty, woo woo. There's that word again. Um, and I just think that I love my Peruvian tradition for that, because they really have managed, being so high in the Andes, where the conquistadors were it was too challenging to get up there. So they managed to get less polluted, I think, if you will, by a lot of the Western ideologies of greed and utilitarianism and stuff that I think is finally reaching its pinnacle and is about to that Tower of Babel is about to break down. Um, I miss Peru. I would go back there in an instant if I was made of money.
You know, when we were talking about this, it reminded me of a story I did. I was doing some research for a book I was working on, and I came across this article where in 1957, uh, this I guess he was an English sociology guy or anthropology guy or whatever, but he went to the Kalahari Desert and he
Mhm.
was studying with the bush people, the bushmen, and in one of the conversations, um, he brought up to him that he couldn't hear the stars, and they thought he was joking. And it's
Yeah,
no, I'm not joking. I can't hear the stars, and they were like, "Oh my God, well, you must really be ill." I mean,
they
I
were
mean, they
right,
could not. Yeah, they were like, "Oh my God, how can you not hear the stars?"
right?
You know, and so I mean, I think that we've just flushed out the stars with all the lighting that we have put into the
Yeah.
cities into our civilization, particularly in the Western world. And I've when I used to do Sundance out in Arizona, I was on security and I would walk around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just doing the security thing in the campsite, and the stars were just like, oh my God,
So
they're
beautiful.
just incredible. I mean, it's almost,
Hmm.
and I really think that I think it's going to come out eventually that the harm that we've done to ourselves by cutting ourselves off from those sources of energy and information and healing and on and on and on
Hmm.
uh, are just going to be astronomical. I mean, and I think as more and more of these ruins down, particularly in the Mayan, in the Yucatan stuff, are uncovered, and people start understanding more and more of what they were doing, what they represented, what
Yeah,
why they built their cities and their temples. I mean, why they did what they did. It's just really going to open up a whole new frontier for us. And I
yeah,
think with the great shift with what's going on right now, that we're in the precipice or the beginning of that exploration that is just really going to take off in ways we probably can't even comprehend right now.
hmm,
Um, I mean, you and I've got some experiences of having gone and done ceremony in in some of those areas and experienced the energies of the stars, experienced the energy of the Star Nation people.
yeah,
And so we can speak to it because we have experience. But, you know, but that's a very small group of people, man, that it
yeah.
that can actually speak to that.
And not only that, but I'm not exactly living that. When I have those experiences, it's almost as if I'm being, held over the chasm, and spirits going, all right, so take a look at this. See that? That's achievable. That's attainable for you. And then I get back into the real world, and and I don't feel like I'm so aligned with all of that anymore. And that's so yeah, that's where the alignment comes in. And it's a it's a slippery slope because there's a lot of people. This is the cautionary tale. I really want to get into this um, because there was that movie, for example, The Secret, and that was about alignment. Really, it was about aligning yourself with, the thinking positively, feeling good, aligning yourself with the goodness of the universe. And then they turned it all around to say, and this is how you get all the money that you need, and this is how you get the Mercedes, and this is how you know. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, stop that. That
Do
this
we
is
have to keep going there, really?
right. Can't you just
I know.
like be aligned? Isn't it enough that you can feel God and hear the stars?
Well, I mean, that's a good point. That's a valid point, because I mean, that is enough, and I think that that's exactly why they built their cities the way they did,
Uh-huh.
and I think that, there's always a big mystery about where did the Mayans go and what happened to them, and
Well, they're still here. They're
all.
just, yeah.
Well, that's true, except that there's still a lot of people that apparently went someplace else, that
Yeah,
they can't figure
they
that
sort of went underground.
yeah, or stepped into another dimension.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, that's my thoughts on it, that they saw what was coming and they didn't want to be a part to it. They
That's
just, because if you're living in an environment where everything is in harmony, everything's in synchronicity, Mother Earth is working with you. The crops, she's
uh-huh.
providing you with the crops, she's providing you, and everyone is happy and peaceful, and it's just working to the nth degree. And then some guys land on a ship and go, well, we're going to take all this and destroy it. And you're thinking, what? You know, what are you kidding me?
Yeah,
What for? And
yeah,
I mean, it was so outside of their mind, that they were just really sort of left helpless because there was no comprehension of why anybody would want to do this. And of
uh-huh.
course, the irony is that what they considered El Dorado, the city of gold, was a place where Grandmother Earth emanated the illumination of gold light, and so it
Yes.
was a gold city. But that's because there was she was expressing her love
Yeah.
for the people and for what was the way they were living and they were giving their love to her, and then so they figured, well, if it's gold, it's got to be the mineral, and
Right.
so we're going to be rich and let's
Yeah.
go,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and that kicked off the colonial
Yeah. That
power
whole
trip,
mindset, right?
and the religious power trip, and on and on and on. But I think now we're flipping it back. Now I think the pendulum is
Yeah.
finally, reached the pinnacle and it's headed back the other way. And so alignment, yeah, I mean, alignment is something we can talk about it, but it's something that is going to be studied and explored, and probably a lot of mistakes made,
Yeah.
on a lot of levels before, because the end goal is to get to a place where you're aligned with source to a degree that you can co-create with the creator.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel?
I do. And I still go along with the law of threes that I got from the Wiccan creeds and the goddess creeds from Ireland and such, where they said, "Ever mind the law of threes, because three times what thou doest returns to thee," which is a wonderful curse if you want to, if someone's acting out and you can just say, "May you have three times what you do," and
Oh yeah, I usually go above three,
yeah,
but
I
go
got I
ahead.
go to 10, right?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and stop it.
Right. So uh I'm hoping for is that this becomes mainstream and that the I want to co-create, and it's so much easier to co-create in beauty than it is to co-create in greed or avarice, right? I mean, you have to
Right,
work 10
right,
times harder to co-create nasty shit than you do
right,
to just let the crops grow, let the plants grow, let the fields go natural. Look at all that medicine out there. I mean, I just put up some goldenrod from my apothecary, right? A woman brought to me these big stalks of it and says, "Here, have some goldenrod." And I'm like, "All right, I'm making medicine out of this." And it's just what's growing out there in the
right.
fields. And life is, the planet was designed to be easier than we're making it, you know? And that
I
alignment,
always,
yeah,
I always refer back. I think I said this before. My One of my favorite sacred laws is maximum effect with minimum effort,
yeah,
and you know, and that's really what you're talking about.
yeah,
You're
it
talking
is.
about, look, you have to be connected into the spirit world, and you've got these Star Nation people who are ready and willing to assist in their with their
Uh-huh.
information and to, and that's probably going to arrive at our doorstep here soon.
It looks like it.
You know,
I hope
on,
so because we
on
need
the,
help.
yeah. I mean, I think that well, I think that and we've heard this in our working, with the councils that what's going on the planet right now is not just something that's being watched locally, but it's being watched universally. There's nothing, this is what's happening with the planet Earth right now has never happened before. And
Yeah,
so it's like all eyes are on this,
yeah, I agree.
on us right now. And I mean, you and I get we get down about this and that, and we get into their petty tyrant stuff, and what's going on. But the reality is, cat's out of the bag, man.
Yeah.
You know, cat's out of the bag. It's
Yeah.
just going to happen.
Somewhere there's
The
somewhere
hard
somebody's
part's
going, "Why did we start this?"
hard part's going to be come to terms with what's happening around you. And
Uh-huh.
alignment is the key, man.
Yeah.
Alignment is the key. And it could be as simple as just, I think we started out talking about kindness, and we said if you'll do
Yeah,
10 acts of kindness in a week, each, for a week, it'll radically change your life.
that's true.
I mean, that's a simple exercise of alignment as you can get because
Hmm.
it completely. I listened to somebody on the Facebook today, and they were saying, that she was explaining how she was really bought into this truther thing and the New World Order and all this, and she kept going on and on about it, and she said her guides finally said to her, they said, "Well, do you want a New World Order?" And she said, "No," and they said, "Well, then stop talking about it." I thought that was hilarious. You know,
Knock it off.
you focus on is what you're going to get.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, so if you're out practicing kindness, that's the easiest, simplest way to create an intention of alignment that I can think of. Is that you feel the same?
I do. And I feel like it's easier. I relax into kindness, and I don't have to go out and go, all right, I'm gonna do something kind now. It's just it's the easiest path for me to be kind enough to let people make their own mistakes, to be kind enough to uh, not go out and be judgmental, to be kind enough to give a person an orange when they're hungry. There's little things like that are the things that spread out. I always think of a pond, the ripples across the pond where you do that one tiny thing and it just goes out, oh, so far beyond your imagination. And those things, they go out easy, you know?
Yeah.
It's easy. And I'm not saying lazy, but like you said, the greatest result for the least effort is you get yourself in alignment and just every little thing you do just goes out there.
Yeah. Well, I think too that if you can get yourself in the mindset that you are going to change the way you look at your life through the practice of kindness, that you want to have opportunities and to speak to the universe, say straight up, I want the universe to bring me situations wherein I can practice kindness that I wouldn't have normally had, unexpected opportunities. I mean, it can be something as simple as being in the grocery store and some lady can't reach a can of pork and beans or something, and you reach up and here, let me help you. I mean,
Yeah,
that you wouldn't have normally had that presented to you.
right.
And the way I learned this was when I was driving a cab, I would be out there on the streets of Austin and I'd get these crazy drivers and I'd be screaming at them. I'd be, and one day this other cab driver said, "Man, you can't do that." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're a professional driver, man. They report you, you're out, And
Yeah.
so I thought, yeah, you're right, And so I stopped cussing people out or screaming at them or flipping them off or
Uh-huh.
anything. And I noticed that there was a decline in the number of crazy drivers I ran
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, me
And
too.
so then I thought, I think I'll test this out. So I went back to being an asshole
Right.
and they all showed up again, and it just,
Yeah.
the frequency increased. And I went, that's interesting. So I stopped and it started
Uh-huh.
declining. And
And
I was like, God, this is like really happening.
yeah.
This isn't happenstance, man. This is really happening. And so it taught me that was a lesson I got. Like, all right, whatever you put out there is what you're going to get back, And so I have to be
Yeah.
very mindful of that. So one of the things I did back then to practice kindness is I went out and bought a bunch of stuff from my Goodwill or something. I wrapped them all in Christmas packages
Hmm.
and stuck them in my cab. And then every time I pull up and there was a homeless person on the side, I'd go, "Merry Christmas, man." I'd hand them a wrapped Christmas gift, which flipped them right out. And, I had people tearing up and God, it was
Uh-huh.
just awesome. It was just
Yeah,
really awesome. Just that
it
whole
does
experience
work.
was,
And so
oh,
you come to realize that really, so kindness is your control knob of your experience, right? It's
absolutely.
entirely up to you. And it's just relaxing out of the angst and the hatred and the everything that's making you mad and angry, and bringing that all back to you, right? Because that's what the vicious circle that I was in before my big epiphany. It was like I was so angry all the time, anger, anger, anger. And what did I get back? Of course, anger, 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 and things that made me angrier. And it was it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It blew up like a balloon until I decided, to end it all,
Well,
basically.
I think that's by design. I think in this country that we flood people with stimulus to
Yeah.
cause them to be anxious and angry and frustrated, as to the same degree that the people in Peru flood themselves with their alignment to the stars and to Mother Earth.
Uh-huh.
No, you know what? It's a programming that we have created in the Western world that we have absolutely no idea how damaging it is to us.
Yeah. And
But
everyone else.
I think that we're gonna get that mirror reflection over the next
Yeah.
few months and years that's going to be dramatically showing us, okay, that shit's over. I saw this
Yeah.
guy from Africa one day, and he was talking to the Western world, and he says, how how can you people get up in the morning and go make weapons to kill people? What's
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
This leopard skin and everything. And he says, and what, you're criticizing me for wearing animal leather. What about the purse you carry? What about the seat, the shoes you wear? You think,
Yeah.
what about all that? What's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
And he came out with four or five other things, and I was sitting there thinking, God, this is really good, man. I mean, he
Yeah.
was really calling it out.
Yeah, and it's 5,000 years of mythology of this specific narrative that's got us here, and that's all starting to unravel now. Might be 10,000 years, but it's a long, long time, and it just has been adding to itself. We're running out of time. Adding to itself, adding to itself, adding to itself, and like any balloon, it's going to pop. It's got to
Yeah.
disassemble.
Well,
Non-sustainable things
I
have to
look at it
end.
like a pendulum, like a pendulum swinging, and
Uh-huh.
I think that it's now going back in the other direction. And so a lot of which is what we're doing, we're trying to share the knowing and the knowledge that we've gained through studying with these ancient shamanic traditions to help people to align with what's coming their way.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we're looking at in terms of, you take the pendulum theorem, that
I
we're,
just never want to get up here again.
yeah. Yeah, I think the systems that support that are breaking down. I
Yeah,
mean, even as we speak today, what's going on in Washington, D.C. is, I mean, it's just stuff is collapsing right and
it's
left.
nuts.
I
So
mean,
yeah, it's just nuts. So
yeah. I mean, it's just eventually the clown car has to crash. So, um, you know, the so we're putting this together, hopefully as a means of support for other people that are going to be asking themselves, well, now what?
yeah,
Because they've been led down primrose lane with technology, all crypto, all this different stuff, and they're going to get to a point where all of that's just not working anymore.
yeah, because it's all based on a false
And
narrative.
they're going to have to come back. And what are they coming back to? Where's the base? You
Uh-huh.
know, where is, and alignment is what it is, I think.
Yeah, it's getting back to aligning with the planet and the energies that hold the planet together as a being, not just a
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah. I mean, consciousness
Mhm.
is in everything,
Yeah,
everything, you know. And so, I remember somebody posted one on Facebook one time about this huge redwood that they were hauling away, and I put in the comment section. I said that tree's got more wisdom than any group that's on Facebook.
Right.
That was a
Tons
grandfather
more.
tree.
Yeah.
So, some woman replied, "Are you serious?" And I says, "Yeah, I
Oh
am.
yeah. Yeah, I get it
Very
totally.
serious."
Well, okay. I'm sorry that we have to go because we're just getting warmed up, it seems like. Um, I just want to tell our viewers and listeners that I want to send all of you some loving alignment, let's just say. I'm hoping that you're all doing very well and getting yourself centered and at peace within your own realm. And so, as
I
Frank,
echo that. Yeah, I echo
yeah,
that, and hopefully you'll keep tuning in to what we have to say, and maybe spread the word to some of your friends so that they're able to find something in here that works for them too. So,
yeah, just little hints along the way. You'd be surprised how much they do, how far they go.
and
Okay,
and what do we always say?
we always
Only
say
the
only the Great
only the
Spirit
Great Spirit is
is
perfect.
perfect.
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody, and come and visit us on earth-ems.org.